One after my brother got seriously ill and was hospitalized, my mom won the lottery. Excitedly, she called me and said she now had enough money to raise me all over again. Property deeds and all kinds of luxury items started flooding into my room. I felt sorry for my brother and secretly turned those items into cash to top up his medical account. As soon as the money hit the account, his condition worsened drastically, and he was rushed to the emergency room. When my mom heard the news, she came and furiously grabbed me by the neck, cursing at me. "Who told you to give the money to your brother? If he has a life, he'll live. If there's no money, how can he get treated? Who told you to give him the money?" The first thing my mom did upon reaching the hospital was to pull my head and slam it against the wall. "Didn't I say the money wasn't to be given to him? Are you doing this on purpose? Haven't I been good enough to you all these years? Why do you have to defy me?" "Mom, I didn't," I said, trying to protect my head as the world spun around, making her face a blur. Relatives around us froze for a second, and then quickly separated us. "Springshow, are you crazy? This is your own daughter. How can you do this to her?" My mom ignored my aunt, still throwing things at me. "Who told you to give the money to your brother? You're deliberately trying to kill him. Cindy, you're just a heartless beast." The pain left my mind blank until my aunt pulled me to the doctor's office, and I was still in a daze. I never thought my mom could treat me like that. It was the first time she'd ever used such vulgar words or laid a hand on me. "Cindy, your mom is just scared about your brother," my aunt said. "Don't blame her. You know she loves you the most ever since you were little." I shook my head, not knowing what to say. I knew my mom disliked my brother, maybe even hated him, but I didn't think she truly wanted him to die. My brother was born with a severe congenital disease. To treat him, my parents worked tirelessly, but the money they earned from odd jobs was nothing compared to the high medical costs. To earn a bit more, my dad went down into the mines and never came back. We lost him and the money. My mom's grief almost led to a double tragedy. After she recovered, she resented my brother deeply. "Your brother is a jinx, dooming our whole family," was a phrase I heard from her over and over. Every time she said that, she'd make my brother kneel on the ground and listen. "Cindy is our lucky charm. Since she was born, everything's gotten better for us, even your illness. You have to treat her well, got it?" My brother always nodded quietly. People in the village said my mom was crazy, but I knew she was very clear-headed. She held me high in her arms and pushed my brother down into the mud. All her hatred went toward my brother, while I got all her love. By the time I was 10, I weighed as much as my 16-year-old brother. In an age when everyone was desperate to have a boy, my mom was famous in the community for being that crazy woman. That mad woman will get what's coming to her. But my mom ignored them all, focusing solely on me. According to her, if it wasn't for my brother, my dad wouldn't have gone down into the mine, and I wouldn't have been born premature and frail. Ever since I can remember, the best of everything in our house was always reserved for me. At our dining table, known as the divided table, the meat, eggs, and milk were all on my side, while my brother only ever had a plate of greens. I felt bad for him, and would sneak him good food when mom wasn't looking. Eventually my mom caught on. That was the first time I saw her lose it in front of me. She made my brother kneel as she whipped him with a willow branch. "I told you to stop being greedy, snatching food from your sister's mouth, you shameless thing." At first, my brother tried to explain, but soon he was only able to gasp for air on the ground from the beating. I bawled in fear. Mom's glare as harsh and resentful as the one she gave me today. My brother eventually got into college, finally escaping from home. I gave him hidden money and told him to go. I knew he'd only be able to live a decent life away from this place. He stroked my head gently, a warm smile on his thin face. "Good sister." But that afternoon, Mom realized something was up. She found the money in his room that I had given him, and went after him in a frenzy. "You're sure generous. Where do you get that money? Were you stealing from your sister?" I clung to her leg, crying, "Mom, it was me. I gave the money to my brother. He didn't steal it. Don't hit him, it was my fault. I just feel sorry for him, and want to be good to him. I like him the best." "If you like him best, what about Mom?" She cried angrily and tore his acceptance letter to pieces. "You're not going anywhere. Stay home with your sister. That was the first time my brother stood up to her. He got our aunt and the village chief involved and knelt in front of Mom, begging over and over, "Mom, let me go. I'll earn good money in college for Cindy." Mom, with tear-reddened eyes, stubbornly refused. "All future promises are empty. I only know your sister's not doing well in school, so you need to stay to tutor her." My aunt was seething and tried to get him up. My brother stayed put, pleading silently with his eyes on Mom. I trembled behind the door, not understanding why she said I wasn't doing well in school when I was, or why she refused to let him go. But I knew I needed to help him. I came out, crying as I threw myself into Mom's arms. "Mom, let him go. I'm sick of seeing him." "Sick of him? I thought he was your favorite." Mom asked, surprised. "Wouldn't it be nice to have him stay and keep you company? Did he bully you?" She pressed. "No, I just can't stand him anymore." "Fine, let him go." A task so many adults couldn't accomplish, I achieved with a few words. I didn't dare look back at my brother's face, but I felt his sadness had lashed into me. He did nothing wrong. In Mom's eyes, just being alive was his mistake. Aunt sighed beside me, her fingers dancing across her phone, as if texting someone. When the wound on my head was finally treated, she put her phone away, looking a bit more relaxed. Just now, your mom messaged me, saying she was too emotional and asked me to apologize to you. She's staying with your brother, so you should just go home and rest a bit." I nodded, forcing a smile. It's good that brother's okay. I really do want to go home. Not because I'm tired, but honestly, because I'm a little freaked out by my mom's behavior. I'm afraid to see her for a bit. My aunt couldn't tell what I was thinking and started taking me to the parking lot. Her phone kept ringing, and her expression got worse and worse. Just as I was about to drive off, my aunt leaned through the window. "Cindy, you shouldn't come over for the next few days. You know your mom really can't stand your brother. His health isn't great, and who knows when." I widened my eyes in disbelief. My aunt looked a bit awkward too. "That's what your mom said." How could my mom say something like that? Even though I know she doesn't love my brother, saying something like that is too much. I unbuckled my seatbelt, wanting to go find my mom for an explanation. "Hey, your mom said she'd explain when she gets home tonight." My aunt urged me to leave. "Just go home for now. I'll check on your brother and call you if anything comes up." After she said that, she hurried off. I watched her go, stood there for a few seconds, and then started the car. The car merged into traffic, taking me back to the garage. Waiting for the elevator, my mind went blank. I kept feeling like my mom was hiding something from me. There was a nagging feeling that something important was missing, making me uneasy. It felt like if I could remember whatever it was, I'd get all the answers. While I was thinking, something tightened around my leg. I looked down and saw a black cat clinging to my pants. It had picked the wrong person. I'm allergic to cat fur. No way I could keep a cat. I bent down to pry the little bundle off. The next second, it clung back on, whining for me not to leave. Once, twice, 3 times, and I started to waver. After being pushed away a few times, the black cat suddenly sat down, tilting its head at me. Maybe it realized I wouldn't adopt it. I felt a little regretful. Just as I was about to leave, a rough male voice boomed beside me. "What's up, sis? I'm coming on to you this much, and you're acting all tough." The cat was talking? My legs started shaking. How does something like this happen in broad daylight? Have things like this gotten so bold? "Why are you shaking? You weren't like this when you were pulling me earlier," the black cat said, rubbing against my ankle, its tail gently wrapped around me. It was cold. "Push me, push me." The more I stayed still, the more the voice taunted. "Why don't you push me again?" Though it was a pretty scary situation, I instinctively replied, "Push you, what of it? Oh man, you're something else." The male voice sounded impatient. The little black bundle crawled up onto my shoulder and sat contently. "I came to save your life. And this is how you treat me? I put you in my pocket, you toss me into a ditch." Instantly, that fear I felt started fading. A cat that tells jokes? How bad could its intentions be? Feeling the brush of fur against my face, surprisingly, I didn't feel a hint of discomfort. Maybe since it's a cat spirit, I won't be allergic. I looked at the little black bundle, my palm itching. A cat tail so smooth, I wondered how it'd feel to touch. Thinking about this, I played along with what the little bundle said. Thanks, Cat Lord, for saving my life. Even though I don't know where you saved me from. Glad you get it. The black bundle said smugly. You have any idea how much effort and how many fights I had to go through to save you? Such a hassle. Like all that money you spent. The black cat said in a low, serious voice. You know, spending ghost cat money, it costs lives. I froze. I've heard of ghost marriages, but what's a ghost cat? The black bundle flicked its tail at me again, seeing my confusion. Think about it. Any large sum of money going in or out recently, I shook my head. I'm just a regular worker bee, making like 10 grand a month at best. What could possibly hold on? I turned quickly and stared into those blue eyes. A few days ago, my mom won big on the lottery and bought me some houses and lots of luxury stuff. Could it be this black cat got the wrong person? With no clue, the little black bundle kept sticking with me, refusing to leave. I had no choice but to take it home with me, not knowing if it was good or bad. I didn't dare let my mom get near it. While the little thing swaggered around claiming territory, I sent a message to my mom on my phone. Got some stuff going on these days, Mom. Please look after brother. Don't come over for now. After sending, there was no reply for a long time. That's unusual. Again, that uneasy feeling crept back. What was it I forgot? No doubt about it, this place is full of ghost cat vibes. The black bundle finished scoping the place and climbed back onto my shoulder, its tone heavy. Who would have thought? Small as you are, you spend big. The atmosphere here, it's almost tangible. Ha! I blinked, looking at the one-bedroom apartment. It was small, but the design was top-notch, obviously a good chunk of money spent. But the thing is, I'm just renting this place. You can't really count that against me, right? I glanced at the black cat, a little doubtful. You're not pulling my leg, are you? Bah! What kind of words are those? The black bundle's fur puffed up, darting around the room, picking things out. Look at these, aren't they yours? Luxurious brand bags, a variety of cosmetics, even a soggy stack of property deeds with red and green stamps drenched in saliva. It's all stuff my mom sent over these past days. She said she won the lottery and didn't know how to spend it, so she just handed it all to me. But if the black cat's right, all this stuff is my death sentence? But there's no way my mom would want to harm me. In a flash, my mom's words at the hospital suddenly echoed loud in my ears. Who asked you to give money to your brother? Are you trying to kill him? Could it be that the money my mom got has issues? Is that why she doesn't want me giving money to my brother? Because she knows money can't fix his illness? In nearly 104-degree heat, I broke out in a cold sweat. Lottery. Yeah, my mom said she won the lottery. So all I have to do is check the recent lottery announcements to figure everything out. I quickly turned around, went into the bedroom, opened my computer, and typed in the keywords. Going by the stuff my mom bought me, it had to be at least 5 million or more. I compared the information, searching bit by bit. But there was nothing from the nearby county, nothing from the nearby city, not even from our entire province. So where did my mom get the money? She's just a regular rural woman. How could she have so much cash? What are you looking at? My mom's voice came from behind me. My scalp tingled, and I instinctively closed the laptop. Mom, when did you get here? She stood at the door, her expression unreadable. What were you just looking at? I stumbled over my words, trying to change the topic. I wasn't looking at anything, just playing around on the computer. I gulped and shifted the conversation. Aren't you supposed to be at the hospital taking care of my brother? How come you're here? She didn't answer, just walked over and gently touched my head. Still hurting? Her voice was soft, full of concern. I didn't mean to, honey. You're all I have left. If something happened to you, how would I go on? Her voice quivered. I'm just so scared. Scared you'll think I'm a bad mom and leave me. I know I'm sick, but I'm really scared. My eyes started to sting. As someone who benefits from this, I couldn't blame her. I could only try to be even nicer to my brother. I hugged my mom's waist tightly. Mom, I'll never leave you. Really? My mom beamed, pulling me outside. I got you more stuff. Come try them on. I hesitated a bit. Thinking about Mom's mysterious wealth, and that black cat's words made me uneasy. Mom, I don't really need anything. How about just giving me the money? I could use it to pay for my brother's medical bills. No way, she said firmly. I suffered enough as a girl. Now that I have a daughter, I want to give you the best. Reluctantly, I followed her out, remembering the messy living room. But before I could think of an explanation, the place looked spotless. A black tail peeked from under the couch, wagging. I turned my gaze to the stuff my mom brought. More overpriced luxury goods, really not worth anything. Looks like she got them deliberately, so I couldn't sell them. As she rambled on, she piled the jewelry on my arms. I wore bracelets on each wrist until she moved to put a necklace on me. When she brushed my hair aside, she suddenly paused. She picked a cat hair off my shoulder and turned cold. Do you have a cat? No. I'm allergic, remember? I wouldn't have a cat, I muttered. But why hadn't I had any allergic reactions? So the black cat actually exists? Good, she said, pocketing the hair. Allergies aren't a joke. Be careful. I nodded, trying to dismiss it. After dinner, she left with a pot of soup. I'm taking this to your brother. Now you can visit him openly instead of sneaking around. I transferred money to his account, so don't think of selling these things. After she left, the black lump crawled from under the couch, tugging my arm. Quick. Don't wear those things. They're the very reason you're unwell. I took off the bracelets, feeling oddly relieved as they came off. Your mom really doesn't want you to stick around, the black cat hissed, knocking the items to the floor in disgust. We need to deal with this fast. Deal with what? I don't even know what this ghostly cat is. And now this mysterious black cat, and my caring mother, are two sides of a story I don't understand. The black cat hesitated, flicking its tail nervously. Do you know what a maneki Nico is? I pictured a plump cat with a waving paw. Not that kind. Stop being dumb. The black cat snarled for bristling. It's dark magic, a kind of, but before it could finish, it froze and toppled over. A dark liquid oozed from its fur, reeking foully. Don't look. It shrieked, limping to the window, then leaping out. I clutched my chest, a sudden pain of sorrow gripping me. That voice, I swear I've heard it before. After 2 days without any sign of the black cat, my mind grew fuzzier. I messed up at work a lot, and spaced out walking across the street. I kept wondering, what exactly is this maneki Nico? Usually, I'd spill everything to my mom, but every time I tried, the black cat's cries stopped me cold. Until I got a call from my brother, and it clicked I should ask him. When I saw him, he seemed much healthier. He looked really happy to see me, though his smile faded seeing my bandaged forehead. Does it hurt? He asked softly, touching my head gently. Mom was too harsh. Don't blame her, I replied. She's just worried about you. He let out a dry laugh, like he was about to say something but held back. Mom doesn't want you visiting, so don't get hurt again. I want to. I miss you, I said, resting my head on his shoulder. Promise me you won't die. I can't bear it. He patted my head and sighed deeply. While we talked, I remembered what I needed to ask. Hey, have you heard of the maneki Nico? His grip tightened suddenly, and only when I winced did he release me. I didn't mean to. His reaction was unexpected, a sure sign something was off. Are you okay? Feeling any discomfort or having nightmares? No, nothing like that, I replied hastily. I shook my head. I just wanted to ask about that day when I avoided the black cat, found an excuse, and stumbled upon something on my phone about fortune bringing. It's all fake. My brother's voice was loud. He calmed down and looked at me again. Cindy, if anything happens, you have to tell me. I'm not going to harm you. I nodded but stayed silent. I didn't know how to tell him about the things happening, like Mom buying me lots of stuff and wanting me dead. It sounded absurd. My brother wasn't in good health, and I didn't want to risk him getting upset and having an episode. Seeing I wasn't talking, he kept reminding me, if something happens, talk to me. I was hesitant, looking at my brother's worried face. What if he really knew the truth? Just then Mom walked in, asking what we were talking about. Oh, nothing. Just saying how your health is improving, and maybe you'll be out soon, I lied. My mom's eyes flickered, and she slammed the lunchbox on the table. I made chicken soup. Let me get you a bowl, she said. Though I wanted to say no, she had already poured 2 bowls. Mine was full of chicken legs and wings, while my brother only got broth. It had happened before, but it still felt awkward. I handed my bowl to my brother, You have it, get better. Mom humphed but didn't oppose and sent me some money, saying the soup was bland, suggesting I grab something to eat outside. 5 grand appeared in my Alipay. This is supposed to be for snacks? I rushed out the hospital room, keeping my head down. Back home, the black cat hadn't returned. Lying in bed, I aimlessly searched about Maneki Nico, eventually dozing off. Maybe it's true that our dreams reflect our thoughts. I had a weird dream that night. In it, I was low to the ground, stumbling as if searching for something, mumbling. When it was fruitless, I staggered outside to a lit house across the street, hearing Mom's familiar voice. Tiny me peeked in the window and saw Mom gloved, grabbing a cat by the neck and placing it into a custom-made coffin. The cat thrashed, scratching at the walls with a screech. My mom ignored it, nailing the coffin shut. She placed it on the altar, kneeling reverently. Spirit cat, bring wealth and treasures. Fortune cat, the house is short on money, deliver us more. I have 2 kids to raise and a sick child to care. Her prayer was met with the cat's increased wailing. Ecstatically, Mom encouraged, good kitty, grab more, grab hard, grab lots of money. When the noise from the coffin quieted, she took out a long nail, driving it through the center. The cat screamed again. Then Mom took a bowl, catching the blood dripping from the nail. I seemed paralyzed by fear, unmoving as she grumbled, why is there so little? As I stood there stunned, she drank the blood quickly. At my scream, Mom turned with a terrified look, her mouth stained red. Suddenly, I was lifted, an unfamiliar male voice chuckling. Little thing, this isn't for you to see. Slaps 3 times, pain exploded on my face. The nightmare jolt woke me up, sending a shadow somersaulting across the room. Whoa, you've got heavy hands, said the shadow. It was the black cat. Little Black. The shadow paused. What did you call me? Little Black. Say it again. It leaped toward me, now a Russian blue cat. Surprised, right? I had it specially dyed stylish, huh? Familiar voice, different appearance. I grabbed it, cuddling it eagerly. Gorgeous Little Black, you're amazing. Number 1 in the world. The blue cat purred at the attention. Of course, say it more. I can save your life. I nodded absent-mindedly, though my heart was racing. Was that truly a dream, or something I'd seen before? Thinking of Mom in the dream, I tightened my grip on the comforting presence in my arms, needing something to steady my frantic heart. Enough with the mushy stuff, it said, crawling off me. You haven't accepted anything lately, have you? I shook my head. I haven't. The 5 grand Mom transferred. I sent it to my brother as soon as I left. Originally, I wanted him to have some money, but after that dream, I was uneasy. It seemed every time I gave him money he got sick. Sneaking him food? He got sick. He was sick again after Mom made herbal soups for him, when she found out about the food. When he was in college and I gave him money, he got sick too. The worst was when he was in the hospital, and I topped up 50 grand, only for him to be rushed to emergency that day. A suspicion crept into my mind. Could Mom mean to harm me? But why was there nothing before? Why only now? Is it because my brother got sick again? If Mom truly cared about my brother, why did she treat me so well from the start? I couldn't figure it out, so I asked my brother to return the money. I couldn't harm my brother if something was off. His response came quick. Mom took it. You need money now? Below that was a transfer of 6 grand and some loose change, likely all he had. I didn't accept, staring blankly at the screen. He kept typing and deleting messages for a few minutes until finally sending another. Are you in trouble? I didn't reply. He resumed typing, canceling, retyping. Did you have a nightmare? Are you okay? Have you ever heard of using a fortune cat? The silence was long. Near dawn my brother sent, come to the hospital. Raising the curtain, the inpatient clinic would open at 6. When I got there, my brother was having some porridge. He looked like he hadn't slept all night. He forced a smile when he saw me and said, haven't had breakfast yet? I bought an extra portion. Eat it and then push me around for a bit. At 6:30, the UV lights on that floor go on, so we'd have to wait outside for about half an hour. I ate the bun without tasting it and checked the time. Then I borrowed a wheelchair and pushed my brother downstairs. He didn't say a word. The hospital was pretty noisy at this time with people rushing around everywhere. I pushed my brother along a small path. It was nice and quiet here. Once we were far from everyone, my brother finally spoke up. Do you know why I always listen to Mom? His topic switch caught me off guard. Mom went through so much to treat my illness, he said softly, sounding exhausted. You were too young to remember. When Dad left, we were in serious debt. I was in the hospital and wished I could just die. If it weren't for my burden, things would have been different for us. I wanted Mom to have an easier life. When you were just born, and Mom took you for vaccinations, she saved someone's life. That person, to thank her, gave a big sum of money. It was just enough for my surgery. After the surgery, we needed a lot for my care, which we couldn't afford. I wanted to tell Mom to stop the treatment, but she slapped me. She said I had to live for Dad so I couldn't die. Then, Mom found a wallet full of money and receipts. The owner, a wealthy businessman, paid for my care out of gratitude. From then on, whenever we needed money, it mysteriously appeared. I thought it was just coincidence, or maybe Dad watching over us. Until I started noticing a lot of cat corpses around the house. He looked at me. At first, I didn't connect the dots. Not until something happened to you. Cindy, you might have forgotten you had a cat named Snowball when you were little. My mind went blank. But Mom said I'm allergic to cats. How could I have had one? She lied because you got scared after seeing her make a maneki Nico. And you fainted. When you woke up, you'd forgotten everything, he said calmly. Mom used that money for my treatment and our family's living expenses. She doesn't hate me, she hates herself. She was kind before, but went crazy for my sake. Anyone can call her crazy, but not me. He looked at me. I've always worried if there'd be side effects from all this. But all these years, there haven't been any. Mom's been careful, stopping just when it's enough to get by. When I started earning, I never saw another dead cat until I got sick again. What happened to you? Is it payback? His voice was hoarse. Damn it, I'm the one who should suffer. I fear it'll affect you. Mom also fears I'd abandon her. My brother worries it'll reach me. But what should I fear? What should I do? Over the years, with time on my hands, I looked into these things but never came up with anything. If something really happened, go back home to check it out. He passed me an address. I don't know what Mom did, but she suddenly came up with a lot of cash. There's gotta be some consequence we can't imagine. What my brother said weighed heavily on the paper in my hand. Thanks to all the novels I've read, a possibility hit me instantly. Mom plans to exchange my life for my brother's. I don't know the specifics, but it's basically that. Because the money's messed up, she didn't want me giving him any. Her anger? That makes sense now. Mom doesn't hate him. Are you going back? Blackie asked on the balcony. He jumped into my lap, rubbing against me. The ore is heavy now. If you don't deal with it, you'll run out of time. I spread my hand, looking at my pale palm, feeling a strange chill. Can people really fake love or hate? Can someone fake it for 20 years consistently? Blackie lay on my shoulder. I don't know what you're talking about. But I know acting is short-term falsehood. If that falsehood lasts a lifetime, it's real. Besides, your mom might seem off, but she truly loves you. She's so scared of the dark. Yet she'd carry you to the hospital through the night when you're sick. She loves looking pretty, yet she'd cut her hair to cook you meals when you just said you wanted meat. One thing could be fake, but not 10 or 100. Yes, my mom loves me, but she loves my brother too. Choosing between us must hurt her the most. Dying for family's probably not the worst. It's not that simple. Seeing my thoughts, my voice shifted. Your mom committed an enormous wrong. If you die for your brother, it'll ruin her. Death's just the first step, followed by endless torment. Your brother dying might be painful but would feel normal. Hard times could be eased with good deeds later. You changing things now spares misery later. Don't you want your brother to have a good life next time? I do. Standing up, I looked outside, grabbed my phone, and asked for a long leave. 6, whether it's for my family, for karma, or for those innocent cats that died horribly. I can't die yet. My family moved out of the countryside when I was in middle school. It's been over 10 years since I last went back. The changes in my hometown were so drastic that I couldn't recognize it. I followed the address my brother gave me and asked around before finding our old worn-out house. The house was covered in claw marks, both old and new, making it look eerie and frightening. Ever since we got here, my cat, Little Black, has been tense. I put it in my hoodie pocket and comforted it with a gentle rub. Suddenly, a weary voice called out to me from behind. I turned around. The face was familiar, but I couldn't place it. It's really you. You look just like your mom. You guys haven't been back in so long. This house is overrun with cats. If it weren't for someone stopping us, we would have torn it down by now, the old lady rambled. If you have any decency, tear it down yourself soon. The cats are a public nuisance, meowing all day. Just hearing the word cat gives me shivers. The old lady continued, it's getting late. Finish up your business and leave. Otherwise, when it gets dark, those things will come out. Those things, what else? The cats. She scoffed impatiently. Remember to sign the papers to deal with the house. She left, and I looked at the familiar yet foreign house in front of me. I couldn't help but touch the marks on the door. They were deep, built up over the years, with holes worn into the door. I peeked through one of the empty spots. I locked eyes with a pair of golden ones. The owner of those eyes clawed at me through the door, its voice filled with endless hatred. Meow! Before I could react, someone yanked me backward hard, and I fell on my butt. Why are you so nosy? The man's voice was a bit exasperated as he squatted in front of me. Didn't you learn your lesson before? The man looked about 60 or 70, and was clean. It was the man from my dreams. Why do you have such a strong aura? Your mom isn't making that stuff again, is she? The old man smiled. Desire is, it's just he didn't finish his sentence. What are you here to find out? What do you know? I didn't answer recklessly. The me in my arms hadn't moved since the man spoke, so I could only probe myself. Do you know why I'm here? It's always about one thing or another, he laughed. These things have weighed on me for years. Now that you're here, it's a relief in a way. He turned and fished out keys from his pocket to unlock the door. Inside wasn't as overgrown and messy as I expected. Instead, it was clean, much like I remembered. The cat that almost got me was nowhere to be found. The old man motioned for me to come in. It's getting dark. Those things are coming. Let's talk inside. Those things again. Can't we say cats directly? I followed the old man inside. The room was dimly lit by several candles. As he lit each one, the room brightened. Once done, he shut the door. My heart raced, and snippets of news I'd seen flashed through my mind. Don't overthink it. I'm too old for that, he sighed with exasperation. I'm worried about those things coming in. Almost immediately, I heard a few cat meows outside the house. They started as tentative, and quickly grew louder and closer. As if on cue, countless piercing cat cries echoed around us. They were on the walls, the roof, cats as far as the eye could see. I've always liked cats, but surrounded by so many, fear overwhelmed me. Don't worry, they can't come in, not yet. Not yet. The old man sat in a chair, humming a tune I didn't know. As long as your money lasts, they won't come in. His words seemed to be confirmed by the sudden increase in the volume of the cat cries at the door. Even the roof tiles were being disturbed, some breaking apart. As we settled into silence, I hugged myself, trying to draw strength from within. We were waiting for sunrise, waiting for the cats to disperse. Somewhere along the way, I fell asleep at the table. When I woke up, the cats were gone. The old man was setting breakfast on the table. You asked me yesterday what I knew, he said slowly, munching on a fried dough stick. I know what you want to know, but what you do will depend on what you think. It felt like he was saying nothing, but his laid-back attitude eased some of my fears. Outside, I noticed the deep claw marks on the courtyard wall and door, some even stained with blood. Those cats had gone mad. The old man nudged a nail from the ground with his foot. If it wasn't for your mom burying this nail ahead, your family would have met your late father by now. Almost instantly, I recalled the long iron nail that pierced through a cat's body. You might think it's karma, he smiled gently, but try to understand your mom. It wasn't easy for her. After what happened to your dad, she wanted to join him. If I hadn't taught her that craft, you and your brother wouldn't be here now. I paused, anger flaring up. You taught my mom that stuff. Don't be mad. I only taught her how to handle emergencies. What she did later was all her own greed. But if you hadn't taught her that dark art, wouldn't it have stopped her from doing all those terrible things? I wanted to argue, but knew I had no ground to stand on. Without that incident, we might have ended up buried together as a family. Right and wrong are tangled. and it's impossible to pinpoint who's at fault anymore. I looked at the door's claw marks, feeling indescribably. Your mom spent the money. He spoke quietly. Back then, your mom attracted a lot of wealth, but stored it under the old house instead of spending it. But now she has used a lot, so the cats grew more ferocious. They're eager to collect their debt. He looked at me. Haven't you noticed your recent good luck? This was the second time someone, including the old man, asked me. But the money, it's all from my mom. Your mom is just the middleman. The money stayed with her. As long as it wasn't spent, those things couldn't find your family. 7 So, they found you because that money was spent in your name. I kept thinking about those properties under my name, and those invoices with my name on them. It made me feel colder inside. So what are you gonna do? That's up to you. Whether you want to set things right and let your brother die, or go along with your mom's plan, and take the fall for him, to save the only heir your dad has left. Am I not my dad's kid too? The old man shook his head. To your mom it's different. It's not about favoritism towards sons or daughters. Your mom only cares about your dad, and even to his last breath, your dad thought only of your brother. So, your mom will always protect your brother. People are such contradictory beings, aren't they? The old man's gaze seemed to settle on me. Or maybe it was just behind me. Have you decided which path you'll take? 20 years ago, I didn't have the chance to choose, but now I do. Do I turn a blind eye and let things be? Or do I set things right and let my brother die? As I petted the cat in my arms, I had already made up my mind. People have to pay for what they've done, whether it's my mom or my brother, and me benefiting from it. After all these years, all those poor cats who died, we can't just go around recklessly harming other creatures, just because we're human. The old man smiled, like he had been waiting for this moment. He agreed so quickly. He helped me pull out each of the iron nails from the yard. They were long, each one soaked in old blood. I'm telling you now, I won't save anyone, just straighten out cause and consequence. If you're unlucky and die midway, that's not on me. When he said that, he was squatting in the middle of the yard, covering a coffin with rooster blood, layer by layer, growing more vibrant red in the sunlight. I understand. Whatever happens, I'm prepared for it. There were so many nails, each representing a life. It took me over 2 days to pull them all out and get them sorted. Near sunset on the second day, the old man told me to nail the nails around the coffin in a circle. If 1 circle isn't enough, use 2. And if 2 aren't enough, make it 3. Pulling them out was tough, but nailing them back was much easier. Before nightfall, I finished 2.5 circles. In the shadowy twilight, I felt like dozens of eyes were watching me. It's almost time. Get into the coffin. Snapping out of my daze, I watched him fish out a handful of red candles. Hurry up and get in. I still gotta set up the formation. I lay in there? Isn't that obvious? Whoever caused the problem lies in it. If you're backing out, just come back inside with me. Don't waste time dawdling here. Being scolded by the old man, I didn't argue back. I got a small stool and clambered into the coffin. The cat in my pocket ran off while I was pulling the nails, and it never came back. I guess it won't have to suffer anymore. Once I settled in, the old man closed the lid, leaving a small gap for air. I'll use the candles to confuse those things. They'll think the coffin is you. No matter what you hear or see, don't be afraid, and don't make a sound or struggle. The gap's only this big, so if you end up suffocating, it's on you. I nodded, feeling panic rise inside me. I pulled out my phone and sent some texts to my brother. There was no response, just a low battery warning. Sighing, I set the phone underneath me and waited for the moment the old man mentioned. The wait stretched into the dead of night. Those cats who usually showed up early never came. The claustrophobia slowly amplified my anxiety. Had I been too rash? Was I deceived? These chaotic thoughts kept rushing through my head. The unease brought by the darkness made it hard to breathe. Trying to calm myself, I closed my eyes, hoping to fall asleep. If I slept, I wouldn't be scared. Suddenly, a drop of liquid fell on my forehead. Feeling sticky on my fingers, I thought it might be the rooster blood dripping on me. I turned on my phone screen. Red. Plop. Another drop fell. The light revealed a mangled piece of flesh above me. Ah! My voice stuck in my throat, unable to escape. Seeing me, it pulled back its arm abruptly. Meow. Shrill cries filled the air around me. I quickly turned off my phone light. Just a glimpse showed the countless green eyes outside the air gap. Those eyes had been watching me all along. Biting my hand, I held back any sound. Clawing and scraping began all over the coffin. Nails against wood, from above and below. They thought the coffin was me. I bit down, refusing to imagine the hatred that drove this, or what would have happened if I hadn't come here. One day, those claws might have turned on me, reducing me to a dried-up shell. The torment lasted all night. When dawn broke, the old man lifted the lid, telling me to get out and stretch. Just 2 more nights left to go. This avenging from beyond needs a full 3 days to reset everything. Munching on the bread he handed me, I nodded mindlessly. Could I last 2 more nights? After just one, the sturdy coffin was covered in overlapping claw marks. Could it really withstand the rest? After breakfast, the old man and I pried out the nails messed up last night and put them back in place, then repeated the coffin coating process. After finishing the tasks, I wanted to find a place to charge my phone since the house's old wiring was completely shot, and the phone would die soon. If you walk out now, I'll just have to collect your body, the old guy muttered. Before they found you, they could only vent their anger on the doorboards and dead stuff. But now, do you really think a pack of cats won't be waiting the second you step outside? As the saying goes, he'd advise eat well. Seeing the empty chat screen, I briefly updated my brother and turned off the phone. I better save some battery. Once it got dark, I climbed back into the coffin. This time, I asked the old man to close it completely. Those piercing green eyes from yesterday, I wouldn't dare face them again. The old man rolled his eyes at me, annoyed, before finally closing the coffin. It was just like last night all over again. The difference? I guess I got used to it. I could actually sleep. The human body's ability to adapt, huh? It's pretty amazing. The old man was furious. Seriously? You can sleep through this? I thought you were dead. I just laughed it off, pulling out nails and trying to keep it light. After 2 nights, the heavy feeling pressing on me had eased a bit. 1 more night, and I should be good. The coffin lid was almost covered with red and white candles. Only a night away from being completely covered. For the last night, I got in early. Do you want an air hole tonight? The old man asked, clearly not amused. This last night is going to be intense. Don't be scared and end up suffocating yourself. I shook my head. Nah. If I can't see it, I won't be scared. It's like a themed hotel room. You're so laid back, he said, closing the coffin completely. It got quiet, really quiet. I grabbed my phone to check if my brother had messaged me in the past couple of days. As soon as I powered it up, a flood of strange texts poured in. Before I could read them, an unknown number was calling. Swipe to answer. It's my brother's voice. Cindy, run. Mom took my phone. They're going to hurt you. Before I could ask anything, the phone went black, along with his voice. They're going to hurt me? I sat there dumbstruck. Who's they? My mom and who? Bang, bang, bang. A rhythmic knocking from above, like some kind of key unlocking my memory. Bang, bang, bang. I've heard that sound before when I was little. Bang, bang, bang. That's the sound of nails being hammered into a coffin. Mom. It's the sound of my mom nailing a cat into a coffin. Was I tricked? I was tricked. I was tricked. I couldn't help but push on the coffin lid. I could feel my nails breaking, heard my screams become wild, like a trapped cat's. Mom, you can't do this to me. Mom. Cindy. I heard my mom's voice, calm as death. Don't be afraid, Cindy. I won't let you go alone. When your brother gets better, I'll join you. Your dad had only 1 child, and until his last breath, he called your brother's name. I can't let him die worried. I wish it could be me instead, but I can't do it. Only your life can save your brother. The deeper your feelings for the guilty party, the more good fortune you bring. If my life could save him, I would, but I tried. I couldn't do it. Her voice, now sad, pressed against the coffin. Cindy, it's got to be you. You love your brother so much. You're going to bring him good luck. You're going to save him. Why do you have to love him more than I do? Otherwise, you wouldn't have to die. I couldn't understand my mom's words, just clawed around instinctively. My will to live made me scream. The air inside thinned quickly, my whole body hurt. In a haze, I was taken back to when I was 5. I fainted, and a man dragged me inside. He scolded my mom for not being cautious. My mom checked my forehead, said something else to him. The other cats hardly left marks after the cover was taken off. But for Cindy's, I saw lots of marks. Well, it's different. The stronger the feelings for the guilty party, the stronger the backlash from betrayal. And that backlash brings in more money. Enough for your son's surgery. You have my thanks. Thank me for what? If it weren't for my brother's help, I'd be dead. I can't watch his only child go. But use this method only in emergencies, or else those things could come after us. I know, Cindy is my flesh and blood. I already regret this. When her brother's better, I won't do this again. Handle the cat properly, alright? Don't just bury it. Skin it, separate skin and bones when burying, or it might seek revenge later. I know. Everything got blurry. All I saw in my final consciousness was a white furry paw reaching from the open coffin. Little White, tears filled my eyes. I remembered what I'd forgotten. That bloody thing on the first night. It was my Little White. My Little White, trying to save me without its fur. Little White was a stray kitten I found. That winter was bitter and harsh. Even people struggled to get by. But while playing outside, a dirty ginger cat followed me, carrying Little White. I couldn't bear it and picked it up. The ginger cat nudged me affectionately, laid down beside the road, and never got up again. Little White was so well behaved. I secretly kept it hidden at home, scared anyone would find out. I prayed that once winter passed, I'd find it a nice family. And I prayed that as I grew up, I could always be with it, and take care of it like Mom took care of me. But I was too young to know that the things we pray for don't always come true. Mew. A sharp meow came from under the coffin. I felt something moving down there, shifted in a panic, and a bloody cat-like shape crawled in. The fresh air from the opening revived me. Don't look at me like that, said the cat-like creature shyly. Those other cats were too stingy, wouldn't lend me their skins. I didn't have time to fight, so I came as is. Tears fell like rain. How did I not recognize it earlier? Why did I forget? Little White, I called out soundlessly. Oh, now you just skipped to calling me Little White, huh? That's not fair, it teased, waving its tail. The feeling of sticky raw flesh made my heart ache. Does it hurt? Getting trapped, nailed, skinned. It must hurt so bad, huh? It's not too bad, I replied calmly. Not as bad as missing you or worrying about you. 9 Wow. I couldn't help but cry out loud. I'm sorry. I'm just useless. I can't do anything right. I'm such an idiot. Don't cry, why are you crying? No one could have seen this coming. Xiaobai's voice got anxious. Don't worry about it. Even I didn't see it coming back then. Your mom called me out for some ground meat. Didn't even get to finish it before getting shut in a coffin. Everyone makes mistakes. I cried even louder. The crying outside paused for a moment, then became louder too. Hey uncle, I feel like Cindy's getting stronger. Don't worry about that. Wait till morning, and it'll be fine. An old man's voice got closer to the coffin. Let's go inside. When those things come, and find there's no life in there, they'll leave. We're buying your brother's life with ghost cat's money. The outside sounds got smaller, replaced by cat calls. The coffin was shaking, being pushed and scratched. Pairs of green eyes peered through a hole. In the dim light, I vaguely saw a couple of familiar cats. Or maybe just their fur. I looked at my sight, squinted, then casually sat over the hole. It'll be fine by dawn. That's what the old man told me too. I nodded, clutching my dead phone, staring at Xiaobai. It's nice to see you again. Sorry for putting you through so much. Time ticked away, and the noise outside suddenly quieted, replaced by voices with various accents. This is the place, officer. I saw that old man trick the young girl into the coffin. Isn't this some superstition? Also, we hear cats at night but never see them. Something's fishy. Must be some human trafficking or something. Has to be a scam. Why else would a girl be here? She's definitely been scammed. None of you ever saw her leave, right? Only that crazy old man buying food. There's something up, officers, trust me. Holy hell, that's a big coffin. Xiaobai moved out of the way, crawled out of the hole, and came back soon after. Don't need to wait anymore. Your brother called the cops. A couple of teams are busting down the door. It crawled to me, wanting to nuzzle but stopped. You're safe now, so I can go. Before I could speak, it slipped out through the small hole. The door was kicked open. My mom and the old man rushed out, not letting people near the coffin. They were restrained by the cops, still shouting not to open it. The coffin was cut open with a machine. I looked up, seeing the bright yard and a bunch of faces with flashlights, full of concern, and broke down crying. Don't be afraid, we're here. A female officer came and hugged me. Don't be afraid. Your brother called us, and we're here to save you. The next time I saw my brother was 3 days later. His condition deteriorated fast, like he'd lost all vitality overnight. When he saw me, he instinctively glanced behind me. Seeing no one, he just gave a weak smile. He didn't ask about Mom, only if I was okay. I nodded, not mentioning what happened in between. My brother was dying. We both knew it. Just like debts always have to be repaid, the life Mom forcibly borrowed from my brother was due to be returned. Holding my hand, my brother gave his last instructions, word by word. He said a lot, always with a smile. Only when he was done did he mention Mom for the first time. After I'm gone, keep an eye on Mom. Everything's my fault. When I die, I'll atone in the afterlife. You all live well. Wait till I'm done atoning before coming down. Mom's done a lot wrong, but she's been good to me. Don't blame me for hiding Xiaobai from you. Brother stopped moving. His eyes had closed at some unknown time. The machine gave a long beep. It was all over. Mom and the old man were charged with attempted murder and got heavy sentences. After sorting my brother's affairs, I went to see them. My mom seemed dazed, not speaking, not smiling, just staring blankly. She often had wounds, self-inflicted during her episodes. She wanted to die but couldn't. I told her about brother, got no response. But I know in the coming days, she'd live like my brother had in misery and torment. The old man was as indifferent as ever, looking clean and smiling warmly like our first encounter. In our line of work, I always knew it'd end like this. Feel bad for our master though. I didn't respond, asked about something else. How can those cats be made more comfortable? Accumulate good karma. The old man replied briskly. The world's divination has yin and yang gates. One for the living to solve causes, one for the dead to fulfill wishes. I betrayed the yin divination gate that deals with earning karma. If you want those cats to be better, I could recommend you there. I looked at the old man across me, considering his words. I'm like this, no reason to lie to you. The old man laughed. I regretted teaching your mom that thing. But what's done is done. Regret's useless. As for you, I owe you too. If you want to go, find Yin 13, she'll lead you in. But once in, half yin half yang. No afterlife is the trade-off. The old man shrugged. Like me, when I die, I won't suffer, just vanish entirely. Trusting him one last time, I found a green plaque marked Yin Divination Gate in the mansion back home. But I never figured out a way to contact Yin 13. Until night, when fog emerged, a pen bounced out from the mist. Yin 13, a newbie found. Got it. A woman in a dark cheongsam stepped from the fog, reached out to me. Welcome to the Yin Divination Gate. From now on, you're number 15. Is it really that simple? I reached out hesitantly, shaking hands. Anything else I need to do? The woman frowned, thinking to enter, you need a spiritual companion. I found one on the way, I'll give it to you. She threw a fluffy white thing from the air, landing right in my lap. 9 warm and fuzzy. Little brat, you can't treat me like this. I belong to someone. The cat in my arms was squirming, but I couldn't help but hold it tighter. Snowy. The fluffy creature stiffened for a moment, then turned its head, a gleam of joy in its eyes. It purred contentedly. If it's you, maybe it's okay. Thanks, I said sincerely to the woman. She waved it off. No need to thank me. This little rascal cost me quite some karma. Just make sure to repay me. Aha! Also, since you've joined the Yin Hex Gate, you should deal with those cursed items from the living world. How about I help you out, and we split the karma? The woman's eyes widened mischievously like a fox. Those things aren't easy to handle. If it weren't for me, you'd barely sell half. Alright, I nodded in agreement. Let's go then. Fog surrounded us, and I felt myself gently lift off the ground. 15th of the Yin month. Welcome to the Yin Hex Gate. The end.